we ready to get popping?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go. Okay. I'll say that to everybody.
All right, hearing signs, seeing voices, the voice at its limits. How y'all feeling? Okay. All right. What's good? I'm the Jufro Samurai. You might know me by one of my many AKAs or by my government name, Daniel Zucker. But more likely, you don't know me at all, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm an MC and an aspiring beatboxer. I've been beatboxing seriously for like a year now, so I'm really excited, and you all should be too for what's coming up next. All these cats that I'm about to introduce, I've seen them perform many times, whether like Celiz performing at events that I do as an MC. Gene, I've seen everything he's ever done on the internet. Reaps one, same thing, and then I saw him actually at the American Beatbox Championships last year, and even just last month at the the American Beatbox Festival in the Village right here. I'm psyched to hear what they have to say, but first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about beatboxing, particularly in the context of hip-hop culture. So I co-founded the New School Hip Hop Collective here at the university, and that is my appeal to authority. Here we go. So back in the late 70s and early 80s, one of the founding fathers of hip-hop, DJ African Bambaataa, united the four elements, four different types of expression that all began to gain popularity among the disenfranchised youth in NYC during that time. The original four elements are MCing, y'all might know it as rapping, DJing, breaking, y'all might know it as breakdancing, and graffiti writing. And there's gonna be a test where all y'all gonna have to breakdance later, so pay attention. It goes like this. No, that'd be crazy, right? That'd be a real treat. Okay. So wait, hold up, what gives? Where's beatboxing? Why isn't it included in those four elements? Well, it may have had something to do with its belated popularity among these circles at that time in the South Bronx, where Bambaataa was from. It may be because back in the early 80s, the art form was not as, developed as it is today. If you see like Dougie Fresh on the classic track La-Di-Da, La-Di-Da-Di, which is just kind of like it's kind of like a basic snare and kick drum. Or it may have had something to do with the fact that vocal percussion was not a completely new idea in the same way that manipulating two identical records on turntables was. Innovative jazz singers like Bobby McFerrin and Al Jarreau, who have been doing really interesting things with vocal percussion in jazz for many years. Whatever the reason for the omission, any schooled hip-hop head will tell you that human beatboxing is the unofficial fifth element of hip-hop, and given the unbelievable heights that these cats have taken it to, it definitely deserves its place at the party. So it's always interesting for me to see when an element of hip-hop departs from hip-hop and is expressed in other ways. So, like, the biggest example, if you are any kind of fan of electronic music, like, every EDM DJ at their concert is going to do a mix, right? But that was a technique pioneered by hip-hop DJs before it ever entered into the other kind of culture where you have, like, you'd play them and they meld into each other, as opposed to before hip-hop when it would just be you play one, let it finish, play the next. You can't keep the party rocking as well, right? So, beatboxing and hip-hop have always had a interesting relationship. If they were to be Facebook official, I would say they would probably put down "It's Complicated," which makes me think, is the ubiquitous beatboxing of a cappella groups, is that hip-hop? What about beatboxing that sounds more like the music of Avicii than the beats of the Wu-Tang Clan? I would say that these are examples of an element making a departure from hip-hop, but I wouldn't go up to I don't know shit, but the somewhat EDM-style beatboxer Reaps One, who I actually wrote into this speech before I knew he was going to be here, I wouldn't go up to his shit when it was sounding more electronic and be like, man, that isn't hip-hop. What the fuck this shit, man? That's not hip-hop. I would never say something like that because I would never cuss at a symposium. It's totally inappropriate. But I would never be like, man, that isn't hip-hop, because hip-hop never owned beatboxing in the first place. From jazz scatting to throat singing to Appalachian eefing, the ethno-musicological roots of beatboxing are complicated, and by no means does its development begin or strictly continue only within the context of hip-hop. So now a little bit about the name. The name beatboxing, or human beatboxing, is a result of the similarity between the vocal percussion in hip-hop and the sample-based drum machines that proliferated in the 80s, which were called beatboxes back in the day. So you have one that's digital, and one that's analog. You have one that's mechanical and one that's vocal, but they're both beatboxes. So even if you have very little exposure to beatboxing, you know that it incorporates heavily the percussive aspects, kicks, snares, hi-hats, clicks, which this man, Gene, is like the master of the click. Y'all might not know that. Seriously, he could freak it. But anyway, even if you are someone who maybe has tried to develop your skills, you may not know how deep it really gets. From dubstep wobble synths like to like turntable scratches, which I can't even pretend like I can do, to vocal trumpet, just like like shit like that. I would argue that this is my big claim for this speech, that the voice, as we have learned from everything we've seen today, from the scream coaching to the amazing, alternative notation and work of John Cena or whatever person we were talking about, is that the voice is the most dynamic analog instrument that there is, and human beatboxing is the most dynamic medium of vocal music. But I'm going to leave all the talk about stuff like that to the artists, and I'm just going to stick to the hip-hop and basics that I know. Final thing I'm going to say. Gone are the days when beatboxing exists solely as an accompaniment for emceeing and rhyming. Today, there are countless viral videos on YouTube of nameless practitioners from all over the world that will amaze you with their freaky styles and incredible range. There's also a thriving global culture of beatbox excellence that's undeniably growing, and it's not just here. Just like hip-hop, and what we think of, so many people think of as hip-hop rap music, right? The scene can be found anywhere, with amazing and unique beatboxing coming out of Switzerland, Japan, Germany, New Zealand, Bulgaria, France, Czech Republic. These aren't places where it happens. These are places where there are vibrant scenes. And I could go on and on. Many of the biggest international events include, the Beatbox World Championship that involve battles of which we have, Napalm, you win the vice winner of the World Championship and winner of the American Championship. Dope. 2-time American Championship winner. I've seen those videos. Anyway, they pit beatboxers against each other in battles that test their innovation and technical ability. What's amazing about today is that these speakers coming up are champions, yo. These aren't like me. These aren't your, cipher beatboxers who do it to keep the rhymes going or, are still developing their skills. We have masters up here on the microphone. So, multiple accolades for their innovative and technical dopeness. So give it up first for Gene, Shinozaki, and NYC Beatbox, otherwise known as Chris Celiz. Give it up.
Thank you for that introduction.
Oh, you used my
That's
former
crazy.
name. Ugh, I hate my former name.
Beatbox.
Because it's dumb. I gave it to myself when I was 15. I didn't think I had a choice. I had to stick to it because it was my avatar on humanbeatbox.com. Doesn't matter. Hi, everybody. We're the Beatbox House.
Okay.
Well, we were actually representing the Beatbox House, but we're going to just do some beatboxing
Let's
first.
just do this.
Talk. Okay. Hey, yo, Gene, hit me one time. Hit me 2 times. all from the mouth like, hey.
Can you turn him up actually? Just a little bit. A little bit more drums in this.
Thank you.
Bit more? Bit
Just
more,
a little
please.
more. Yeah, you know. my face is on you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it. I can't feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it, but I love it. I can't feel my face when I'm with you, I can feel my face in front of you, but I love it, but I love it. I can feel my face in front of you, put your mother up. So we're beatboxing, but it's an interesting word because a lot of people hear beatboxing and they'll automatically think, right? We did not do that. We did something like that. Huh? What? Did I have to start over? Yeah. The whole set? Just kidding. Yeah, so we were beatboxing, but it wasn't. My name's not that. But the art form is just taking a new form, and we're trying to figure out as artists what to do with it. So I'm gonna let the music do the talking for a little bit, and then we'll get into all the talking later. Okay. Whoa. I'm gonna try a new thing that I haven't. A new thing. I'm gonna try it anyway. A new thing that I haven't done in public yet. And I came up with it last week. Woo! 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 Okay. Shake. I go for mine, I got the shine. So throw your hands up in the sky. my God. I'm good. Shake.
Make some noise for Celiz. So I guess I'll do a thing too.
Yeah, you can do it.
So I'm gonna sing Amazing Grace. But before I do, I'm just gonna explain what exactly I'm doing. So I do this technique called lip oscillations, and they're basically raspberries, right? And I tune the oscillations so that it's a note, a solid note. Right? And on top of that, I sing that same note. And I get that buzzy electric bass sound, right? And on top of that, I sing the fifth above the oscillation. So they're like power chords, you know? You know what I mean? And once you can do that, you can use the oscillation as a drone and sing all over the place, like kind of like that. So using this, using this technique, I'm gonna do the melody of Amazing Grace and do the bass with the oscillations at the same time. Thank you very much. That's
I've heard that so many times, but it still blows my mind every time. What?
fun fact. I did this at the Grand Beatbox Battle in Switzerland, and I did my first round, and this guy from Germany did his round, and on my second round, I just did that, no beatboxing, and then I won. It was crazy. He was a judge. Hi, Reeps. He voted for me. Anyways, let's continue, huh? Yeah.
I just feel like I just needed to take a moment of air for that. You know what I mean? All right, let's go.
There's more cool stuff coming.
Yeah, more cool stuff.
Don't sell yourself to fall in love. Sell yourself to fall in love. To fall in love, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la, la la to fall in love. To fall in love. To fall in love. Don't sound to fall in love.
Watch the shoulder lean back. Going up.
To fall in love.
So, Gene and I have extent and played in jazz and stuff. One thing that I love to do during like solo sections, we'll do like hits or vamps, like chord vamps or something.
Oh,
and
use the mic.
oh, right. I always do that.
Start over.
So sorry. Okay. So Gene and I have a very interesting background when it comes to music. We both studied formally to some extent, and we both play jazz in some way, shape, or form. And during solo sections, they usually have a vamp or like a background figure that the rhythm section can repeat, and someone can solo over it, right? And since there are just two of us, someone usually does the bass, or someone does the drums, and somebody else does a solo over it. And I haven't done this in public yet, because it's really, I've never had the opportunity to like expound on these ideas, because when you're in a battle, you only have like 1:30, or even if you're doing a showcase for a battle, it only goes for like 4 minutes long. And you never really get you have a limited amount of time to communicate your ideas, but in settings like this, we can take our time to expound. So I hope you're ready to go down the rabbit hole. Okay, so we don't know what's gonna happen, but that's cool.
Let's do it.
All right, let's see. You want to- Oh, no, let's see. If your mother only knew, if your mother only knew, if your mother only knew that you was trying to get with me. Swag it out. Your mother only. Your mother only. My name's Celiz. This is Gene Shinozaki.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. So I hear there's a Q&A portion. Oh,
You hear correct. Have a seat, guys. Have a seat. Have a seat.
I'm sitting.
Give it up for Chris and Gene one more time, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Crazy, y'all. I was gonna ask you to just reintroduce yourselves one more time if anybody came in late. Just maybe tell everybody your name, where you're from, and how long you've been a practitioner of this art form.
My name is Gene Shinozaki, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. And I've been doing this for 5 years. 5 years.
My name's Celiz. I am from New York City, born and raised. I've been beatboxing for like maybe 10, 11 years now. And our name together is Spider Horse.
Oh.
You didn't have to say that.
I wasn't going to, but then I said in my head, like, maybe I should just say it.
Started out as a joke, but
It did start out as a joke.
now it's real.
Yeah.
We're Spider Horse.
And we're representing the Beatbox House.
Yes.
Word up. My name is Sam Sellers, a.k.a. Rabbi Darkside. This is like all my worlds colliding right here because I know Chris, first and foremost, as a musical collaborator going back, I don't know, seven years, maybe, when you were like 9.
Damn, Daniel.
And I also know him as a member of my hip-hop arts education non-for-profit called the Hip Hop Re-Education Project. And I also know him as a hip-hop education colleague because he's also a elementary school music teacher. Middle school now. And Gene, outside of beatboxing in the battle showcase competitive form, what do you do with your team?
I studied drums at Berklee College of Music, and I dropped out.
Yeah,
No,
they
I
didn't
just
have,
do
didn't have a
this.
beatbox track at Berkeley yet.
They don't have any beatbox professors now.
And you do a
should
lot
apply.
of busking as well, right?
Yes,
Street
yes.
performing?
I've been street performing for about four and a half years now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think it's really unique within. I don't want to say within a hip hop art form, but both of you have really strong music theory backgrounds, right? Is that something that's new within this realm of beatboxing?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe. I'm not sure. To be honest, I know for me, I guess, like yes, yes, yes.
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 Well, I just think it's because hip hop, not hip hop, beatboxing itself came from a very informal school, right? You have this coming from the streets, and the reason people started beatboxing is because they didn't have a radio, so someone was like, "Yo, I need beats." It was purely utilitarian, but you learn by just copying the sounds off of the radio, and then whoever could do that the best was an amazing beatboxer at the time, right? But the way that's progressed is, the music's just changed. We're just listening to different kinds of music now, and we're imitating those kind of sounds. But for me, I know, like, coming from someone who's been trained formally, like, I studied classical clarinet and saxophone and played jazz saxophone. Jazz saxophone, right? I'm at New School. I have to say jazz. I wanted to go here. Anyway, I really did. I did. Just being honest. But coming from that background, and then having the understanding of, like, just, I guess, that practice and how to practice and meld these two things is just, for me, I know it's a journey that I'm currently on, and I know Gene has kind of done the same, a similar thing. So I guess for us, yeah, like, we're just trying something new, I guess.
Because you guys have sort of transcended battling, right? It's not just like, I'm going to be louder than you, I'm going to be harder than you, I'm going to serve you up. You're creating compositions that you're bringing into this competitive realm, too. Is there notation that's been developed for human beatboxing?
For individuals, yeah.
Meaning, like you can transcribe a song and you know what it is for yourself?
For myself, yeah. No one else can read it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like my rhymes and my chicken scratch penmanship. That's why it's top
Exactly.
secret, right? Because, in turntablism, right, in hip-hop turntablism, there is scratch notation that's been developed, and it's a little controversial about who created it, but there's a way to map out a routine, right? You could say, like, right? So is that something that, I don't know, the beatbox world needs or someone is attempting to do?
Well, I think especially, so I came up on humanbeatbox.com, right? And the way we would trade, like, patterns and beats is just writing, like, B, T, P, P, F, and CH for, like, or whatever, right? And we would write it out. Is that, yeah? I don't know. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, man, I read it wrong in high school.
Is like an asterisk for me.
Again, there's no standard notation, so sometimes when I'm writing for what, I'm not but CH, I think, so for me, when I write CH, I'm going, for Neil, he goes, if that's
understood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
but
okay.
I think to add on to that, like, beatboxing itself is a very young art form. So there are a lot of individuals who are trying to, like, standardize it now, but we're just, everyone has such a
wide
range of everything.
It's interesting you bring up the word young, because it is, I guess it's a young art form, but it's also kind of a young man and young woman's game a little bit. And you brought up the internet, humanbeatboxing.com. What do you think the role of the internet has been in kind of the global diaspora of beatbox, at the skill level and technique depth that you guys practice at? And I'd also ask you who are your major influences?
Well, I mean, I personally found out about beatboxing through YouTube.
Like, you learned from YouTube?
I learned each sound from YouTube.
From watching tutorials?
Yeah, there's this guy, Fat Tony Beatbox. Yeah, lives in Florida. He's like, he just goes through every sound and, like, gives you really in-depth explanations about how to do them. And when I was beginning, I would just binge watch his stuff. Yeah, and and one of my first videos I've ever seen was Reaps One's video from the 2009 World Championships, and he was doing that kind of dubstep stuff, and I was like, oh my god, human beings can do that? I'm gonna do that forever. So I'm doing it forever now. That's exactly what I say it every time.
And the prophecy came true.
Yeah.
Chris, how about you? What's the internet played a role in your life?
I think, okay, so just growing up, I was a really shy and awkward kid. Yeah. And the internet, was an escape from my daily life. So I could like download music on LimeWire, Kazaa, FrostWire. My mom was like,
Virus
"How did you
heaven.
break this computer again?" I was like, "I needed music." And I was like 12, searching like the netherworld of the internet to find cool stuff. Because before YouTube and like even Google's, you had to go through like eBaum's World and Newgrounds and like find all the like sift through all the like weird stuff, and you're like, oh wow, that's a video of Kenny Muhammad and Razel or doing like the 4 elements against 2 DJs. And when I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know which one's a DJ and which one is a human. And I was like, I want to do that. So I started doing research, and that's the thing. Because of the internet, I could research from my home. I didn't have to go to the library, and there wasn't like, I guess, text that was really written about beatboxing in the library, or maybe there is. I have to do research. Anyway, I looked it up, came across humanbeatbox.com, and then I found out there's this huge community. Not just it was the Gavin Tite who started humanbeatbox.com as a forum just to trade beatbox ideas. Like, created this hub, a global hub for everybody to just share from all over the world. So I remember, people like Darny, who used to be called by Vash. He would put on his hair like this, and he's like, "This is my new technique called crab scratch." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool! I want to learn that." And then what would happen is like, once you would share that idea, people were like, "How do you do that?" And we'd learn how to teach each other. So through the internet, we were able to, from the comfort of our own homes, share these techniques, and also
Grow
Ventrilo, which was an app. Would you call it app, or I guess software? Going back, software that would use during gaming to talk to your fellow teammates. So if you were playing like Counter-Strike or Warcraft or whatever, you're like, "Bro, like you need to build more pylons. Build more pylons." And you're like, "Oh man, you're right." But like, sometimes you can't just type. You know what I mean? But what happened is because these individuals just seem to be the same people who exist, like gamers and beatboxers. They started to share those ideas, and we were able to jam and share those ideas in, I guess, real time. If you had bad internet connection, sorry, but you could share those ideas with anybody across the world, and then it just like after
blew
that,
up.
yeah.
The world of Warcraft and the world of beatbox not that far apart. No. No.
Yeah.
You mentioned community,
Yes.
and you guys are part of a collective called the Beatbox House.
Yes.
And Reeves piece. I don't know if you've ever met, but I know Hobbit from like 2008. That's like my OG right there. And you represent the Beatbox Collective? No. Oh, they're your best friends. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna. Okay, right. Just with British accents, right? Can you talk a little bit maybe about how the Beatbox House was formed, who are the members, and how you guys have influenced each other? Because I think it's also to note that for the first time really in the history of human beatboxing, there are American beatboxers at the forefront of the global stage. Because for many, many years when particularly European beatboxing was just getting interstellar with techniques, there were no Americans to be seen in that competitive realm. And now you guys are sort of cleaning up, taking trophies and belts everywhere you go. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Beatbox House is and who you are?
I mean, started out as like a safe haven for beatboxers to come and chill when they're in town, because we have a lot of events in New York and a lot of outside beatboxers, like international beatboxers, come and visit. So it's just a place for people to stay and like chill and beatbox. And
It was
hang out.
literally a house
Yeah, it was a
for beatboxers.
It's more like an apartment, but
yeah.
but we called it the Beatbox House, and I guess we took that idea and made a band out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah,
elaborate
I was
more.
going to say, I remember my first American championships. I went to the championships, but it was also like a convention, so everybody who I loved, like, so I talked about being awkward kid, internet, all these people came to life in front of me. They're like, "Oh, I'm like Korean Effects, I'm Hobbit." I'm like, because I like had to interact with people now, and it was weird, right? It's true. Honestly, young beatboxers are going to be really strange, just because they're like, they don't really interact. That's not true. I'm making a blanket statement. But majority, it's just like, "Oh man, you're in real life. I can touch you. Hi." right? But I went on stage and I just, terrible. It was bad. I made a bad impression of myself. And I feel like I embarrassed myself and I didn't get an opportunity to like put my best foot forward. And I was like, dang, I just hope one day there'll be like a safe space that we could just like all come together and like hang out and jam. And then when I finished college, I was like, this is the opportunity. I got my music ed degree. I can make pretty okay money. You know, and then B, my girlfriend, Izzy, Johnny Sansone and Mark Martin moved into the first house. And it was just a space where I just wanted to live with my friends. It was my first apartment. And it just so happened that all my really good friends turned out to be really good beatboxers who participated in all these events and were getting gigs. So whenever they came over, you know, they had a gig or they had some sort of stint, right, for like a week. Boston. Gene would come, you know, from 5 hours from Boston. He'd do like a week rehearsal, then he'd leave. He'd come back next month and do another week. But, you know, when you spend that much time with people, you're going to inevitably get close if you're willing. And that's what happened. We became really good friends, but we also just beatboxed the entire time when we were doing that. But I think what's more important than the beatboxing is that we became like, not even just friends now, like this is my family. These are people that I love to death, I promise. Shout out to Napalm.
He's part of the house. Oh yeah, let's talk about the members. So,
Oh yeah.
Chris is the CEO of Beatbox House. He started everything. Me, Neil, he's the 2-time American champion and vice world champion, and he's 19. He's the youngest guy in our group. We have Kayla Milady. She's the female world champion.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, and 4-time beat rhyme champion or something like that. It's something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Mark Martin, Kayla's boyfriend.
He won the Beat Rhyme Slam.
He's
2016.
No, I wasn't saying that as a title. I'm just saying.
But you just followed it up
he's
with
just
title.
boyfriend.
Anyway.
No. Mark Martin, he's beat rhyme this year's beat rhyme champion. And Amit Bomik, he's the East Coast beatbox champion, and Kenny Urban, who's the People's champion, and also 2016 Grand Beatbox Battle champion. Yeah,
he actually won something.
He's also a member of this group called Hunkapellas.
You gotta do it.
It's like the Chippendales of human beatboxing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I mean, it's a bunch of good-looking dudes with their shirt off, and they sing acapella.
And he's the beatboxer in it.
Yeah.
And last year, Gene Shinozaki was the winner of the Grand Beatbox Battle.
Yeah.
Which Kenny won this year. Yeah,
Kenny won this year. Yeah.
It's like a premier invite only. Like, ooh, you're cool if you get invited to Grand Beatbox.
That happens in Switzerland.
And you guys are the American team champions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy to see beatboxing in an environment like this where we get kind of the acoustic treatment, because usually it's on massive sound systems, and I always think when it comes to beatboxing, I'm trying to figure out how things are going to sound when they're amplified. So we really got to kind of peep the nuances of what you guys do. When you're rehearsing, are you rehearsing acoustically or on a sound system? And I guess before we field some questions here from the audience, can you just talk a little bit about where you see the future of the art form going?
I do want to say this. This wouldn't have happened if there weren't individuals that came before us that said, hey, look, I want to do something more than just battling. Because I know for me, like, Harry Reeps is like a huge influence because of that. He started like the whole mouth music thing, and I was like, duh, that makes sense. Let's make art and stuff. So we like started to expound on that. And as we're maturing as people, our art form is also maturing, because art is just a reflection of self, right? So the more we grow as a person, the more our art form is also growing. So I think the art form is just going to grow with us in whatever way that manifests, whether it's like, you know, Gene and I doing the Montreal Jazz Festival, which would be amazing. I would love to do that one day. Or like doing a massive like 3-day rave festival thing, or like doing I don't know, like a national tour as like an act as opposed to just like a novelty thing. Because beatboxing in a lot of ways is a lot of individuals still see it as like a party trick. It's like, oh, check this out, look what I can do. But like for me, just art and music is very personal and to a certain extent like very spiritual too. Like so I don't want to make something that's not going to be representative of who I am, and I want to put my best foot forward when I create something. So, and that just so happens to be beatboxing for me. But we're also just trying to rebrand the whole art form because, like, what is beatboxing anyway, you know?
That's a good answer, man. I think, yeah. To add to that, I feel like beatboxing can be used for medical purposes as well, like therapeutic stuff, like speech therapy and different kind of.
That's actually crazy. In 2008, I was the head coach on an episode of MTV's Made, and I taught a 16-year-old young woman from Iowa to be a human beatboxer, and she's now getting a master's degree in speech pathology from University of Northern Iowa. Yeah, which is kind of wild. I feel that. Dan the Man, you said something about when we take a hip-hop element out of the hip-hop context, right? And you think about like that viral video with the Australian dude who was beatboxing Billie Jean on, Australia's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. I think about listening to y'all and intaking your influences, right? You're doing a cover of a Jay Dilla beat. You're covering The Weeknd. You're covering a gospel standard. What are your influences? Or do you? I don't know.
Well, one of my biggest influences musically is Bobby McFerrin, like you mentioned earlier. And what he does is he takes the melody and the bass and arpeggiates the harmonies and plays the drum on his chest all at the same time, and he creates this whole 1 hour show by himself. And I was really inspired by that, and I want to be able to convey enough information to the audience for them to understand what exactly I'm doing and like what piece I'm doing.
You're doing it
through beatboxing.
eloquently, exquisitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Major influence?
Other than my beatboxing influences, heavily influenced by a lot of like jazz artists. Like Coltrane for me is like my musical hero because he wanted to find himself and he wanted to find God through music, and like he tried to do what everyone else was doing, and then until like the age of 26, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna go this way, and then he created a whole new school of thought, which led to like the avant-garde, which is like amazing because he made a conscious choice to go this way, and he committed to it. You know what I mean?
Is this avant-garde within beatboxing?
Slightly. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. We're just taking chances and like. I think that's. Yeah. Because we don't know what the limit is or where this is gonna go.
Of the human voice, you don't know what the limits are of the human voice. Can we field a couple questions from the gallery here, the audience? Anybody got a question?
Yes.
I was early into that.
When did you guys separate just yourselves from being a beatboxer to being a musician with your beatboxing? When did you realize that, like?
Well, we were both musicians first, and then beatboxers later. So we always had that musicianship within us, and like we wanted to incorporate music into our beatboxing.
Yeah, and what I love about beatboxing is a direct link to your musical conception, right? So if you want to get really like technical, your pitch recognition, your intonation, your understanding of harmony, like your vocabulary of rhythms, and like all this other stuff, you can communicate directly from your brain to your mouth. You don't have to use an instrument, like a physical thing, to communicate those ideas. And just with any other instrument, it's going to take time for you to communicate all of your ideas clearly. So that's what I'm trying to find out how to do more of. Yeah.
I don't want to throw a question right back at the audience, but Nathan, you're a world champion. What's your music theory background like? If I can ask.
I grew up in like the sticks in Pennsylvania, so like I did a lot of sitting around fires, playing guitars.
Okay.
Just like
So you're a musician before beatboxing? Yeah.
I mean, I grew up playing guitar for a long time. Just like my mom always got me into different kind of music, like a lot of rock music and older country music, Waylon Jennings, Hank Williams, crazy stuff like that. But
Oh.
Oh, hey. So, Waylon Jennings, Hank Williams, bunch of older musicians like that. And then after I found beatboxing, I guess it kind of has the same thing. I was already like familiar with music enough to where I can create different music with the same feeling with my mouth. And then that's how it came about.
Cool.
Can I get a
Thanks,
lip
yeah.
roll?
Do we have another question from the crowd? I think we got time for one or two more. Pass the mic, sure.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm going to take this question. I'd like to talk about genre development. So, beatbox is rooted in hip hop, and during the European Renaissance, when it was going on in Europe big time, you saw it taking
The
electronic.
beatbox renaissance?
The beatbox renaissance in
Okay,
Europe.
okay.
It is. It's like a renaissance. I mean, when it travels from place to place, you see it, regenerating and taking on new forms. So in America, when it started, it was rooted in hip hop, and when it went over to Europe, you saw people doing electronic-based music, drum and bass and dubstep. But now that it's come back here for what I like to call the American Renaissance of beatbox, you guys are performing music that I really can't see it fitting into a genre. It's styles that I never really heard before. Do you guys see yourself as developing new genres? Like, what are the parameters of the music that you guys are making? And if you are kind of coming up with new genres of music, what qualities define that new kind of music that you're making? Or is it all just, as you said, experimenting, and you don't keep that in the back of your mind at all?
Yeah, it's definitely all experimenting, because I think some of the greatest artists were just, when you see them, you're like, oh, I get you. I get your art, because that's you. Like, you've just communicated yourself through this. When you see a Frida Kahlo, oh. I mean, you're not going to meet Frida Kahlo because she's passed away, right? But if you were to meet, let's say, Yo-Yo Ma, for example, he's a very dynamic cello player. He's also a very dynamic individual, if you've ever heard him talk. But and he's a great example of someone who doesn't even say he plays classical music. He's like, I just play music. He has this great ensemble called the Silk Road Ensemble. And he just takes all these individuals from, along the Silk Road or along the Mediterranean, from all the way from Europe all the way to China, and he just puts them together to see what happens, because all these individuals have these stories and these narratives that they can tell and share. And when you put them together, they create a new narrative, which is weird and cool at the same time. And I think for Gene and I, I don't want to ever fit into something that's not honest, because that's not artistic. Again, for me, just growing up, I had a problem communicating myself and just my ideas, because I was just very scared to do that. And what I can do with beatboxing, what I can do with music, is people understand what I'm trying to say without me having to use words, and that's what matters, I think. So I don't really think about genre as much as I think about being honest. So.
Thank you.
I think we have to wrap it up. Is that right? Okay.
I don't know.
Well, guys, can you give it up for Chris Celiz and Gene one more time? You guys want to let them know where they can find you on the
Do the busking thing.
oh so influential internet?
If you like what you're hearing, come follow us. This is what we do when we're busking all the time. Come follow us at the Beatbox House on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Beatbox House, or check out beatboxhouse.com and come talk to us, because we're cool. All right, see you later.